So we see the two perspectives. One, everything is a blessing, and one, oh my God, I'm living a nightmare. Okay? Let's just flip the page again. Now I said, well, this is great. Give us some tools here that we could work with because we need those down here. And they said, allow the process. I said, that's the key. What does that mean? How do we practically do that? So they said the first thing is to acknowledge the paradox of your truth. Remember, the truth. This feels like a nightmare, the emotional side of things, but I know in some way everything is a blessing, that spirit side of things. And they say allowing ourselves to get to step number 2, which is expressing, right? Expressing. In the space of expressing, they say that can take on different forms. One form of it can be expressing it to myself. Maybe sitting and writing or coloring or drawing, in some way allowing myself to express simply for myself whatever it is that I'm feeling. That's one. The second thing is going to a trusted friend and saying, my confidant, I'm going through this and I really just need to talk about it. Will you please validate my feelings? And I didn't write that down, and they gave me this bright orange marker here and said to write it really big. Oh, so if you would do that for me so I don't knock everything over, that would be wonderful. Number 2, next to the dash where there's that space, validate. Because when it comes to our feelings, one of the biggest things that we do is invalidate them. Because I know these things, it's wrong that I feel this. Yes, thank you very much. And they say, that's the place where all of us get completely stuck. We're feeling something and we tell ourselves over and over, it's wrong that I feel this. It's not spiritual that I feel this. I can't let this go. And they say the reason we can't let it go is because we're stuck in an internal battle with ourselves, invalidating something that we're feeling. Because we make the mistake of believing that how I feel is who I am. But how I feel is a constantly fluctuating, changing place. It's not the same. We have highs, we sometimes have lows, we like to move through them as quickly as we can. But how I feel is constantly changing. Who I am and what I know is constant. It's just that sometimes with the feelings that we have, it feels like we're stuck in the ocean and we're riding the waves. But it's not who we are. And that's the place they say that we get so stuck. They say, so let's move on to step number 3, is accepting that you are both an emotional and spiritual being at the same time. Because that gives us permission to feel and to know all at once. So it no longer becomes wrong that I feel a certain thing that's happening. So let me give you a quick personal example here because I know how important it is. Because the guides tell me it's important, so we'll go with that. But one of the things the guides asked that I share. So in May, as many of you know, I got married and Pete and I were on our honeymoon and we got back. And I have just felt like I am in the happiest place I've ever been in my entire life. I look at my life in every area. I'm healthy. I have a man I adore who adores me. We have a beautiful home. I do work that I absolutely love. My life is filled with amazing people. And I stopped and I said, okay, then why do I feel so sad? Because in the space of all of this joy was this deep feeling of sadness. And I would look and I don't understand this. I have nothing whatsoever to feel sad about. And the guide said to me, what you're doing is going through a grieving process of the way life was. Because the way things are today took time. There's that time factor to get to where you are. And finally being in this space and feeling that joy, I could also have permission, right? Permission to allow myself to let go of all those layers of experience that I had lived that weren't congruent with who I always was. I want you to notice that. The feelings that weren't congruent with who I always was. And in that space, I could allow that process to happen much more rapidly. But as long as I was invalidating, it's wrong, you have no reason to feel sad. And I didn't, but I did. And it was giving myself that permission to feel that made all the difference and allowed me to go right through that process, which really gave me the gift to feel even more joy. Because I didn't know that by not letting myself grieve the old feelings, I was also keeping that space full with the old feelings instead of letting it move so that I could really embrace all the joy that was actually there. How many times do we all do that? We work so hard to get to that place where we've made those changes in our lives. We've strived and we struggled and we're like, yes, I got through this and I'm making this change. And then we go, oh no, did I do it wrong? It doesn't feel right. Well, of course it doesn't feel right. It's new. How's it supposed to feel? But we don't always think about that. We don't always think that we have expectations on how certain things in life are going to feel until we get there and we stop. And that's one of the big areas that the guides keep telling me, you have to ask more questions. Because they say so often we have these, hold on, what's the word? We have these expectations and we've set this barometer so high without giving ourselves any measurement to know if we're meeting that barometer. They say, so no matter what, you can't ever reach it. Because it's like, oh, well, this, okay. But they say giving yourself some kind of measurement, especially when we're working with all the emotional aspects of things. Working through the emotional clearing out of things is hard as can be. Oh my goodness, what do I know? That's more than I might like to, okay? We've all been working on that. And going through that process, as difficult as it is also so freeing. But how do you know that you've made progress? Those moments where your friend comes up and says, oh my God, you're so different, what'd you do? And you go, oh my God, thank God, something I did was working. but it requires that external validation so that we can see. They say, notice, step number 2, allow the process, express and validate. But that validation so often, as much as we want to and need to validate our own emotions, it's okay. They say we need to give ourselves permission that it's okay that we do at times need that external validation. Because we can only see things from our viewpoint and interpret it from our own perspective. But how do we know if the way we're looking at things needs some clarity? You have to have somebody else that can help you see it. I've found that tangible piece, understanding it in a tangible way, has allowed me to open up to receiving new things from the guides. Right? You see, right? You all, most of you are familiar enough with me to know that my sense of normal and my regular reality is a little different than the average person, we'll say. So in this case, they say, because I've had the ability to communicate with the guides for so long, it's easy for me to see a big picture. And it's easy for me to have a very positive, if not at times unrealistic, optimistic viewpoint as to what's possible in a certain situation. One of the things that I've come to realize that I just do not have at all, it's just not in my toolbox yet, is the ability to think things through in a consecutive order. I just don't have it. My list of things to do just grows and grows and grows, and that's great. So, when are you going to do that? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not telling you it's not important or not to do it. I just want to know when. When are you going to do that? And I go, well, and I stop. Oh, so you're asking me that because I really have no time and haven't made any time to even consider that this could possibly fit in. Oh, okay. I mean, and you'd think something that basic and logical in life, we all would have, but no, this is not my area of forte at all. But it's only because I have somebody else to point out to me, hey, here's an area of weakness. But he doesn't make it, the way he presents it to me, I don't ever feel that I know I'm lacking in an area, but not in a way that ever feels demeaning. And I want you to notice the difference, because we're talking about that energy and the importance of validating inward and outward. And in that space of the outward validation, when we need it, be certain that you go to somebody who's going to help you feel validated and uplifted. Because let's face it, we all have some people in our lives, whether we like it or not, we have them. Those people in our lives that, when we ask them for validation, and say they beat us to the ground, and we go, oh. We've all had those experiences. We don't like them, we really don't. We would like to do without them. But notice how I put the onus on myself. That I go and ask for what I need from somebody who can give it to me. But notice that requires a change. And why does it require a change? Because we got into the wise perspective, because, oh, I used to go and ask for it here, and boy, I got like the slap in the face. Well, thank goodness I had enough facts to learn what's the difference here. You see, it's learning from those things and opening up to saying, you know what, there are times that we need that external validation. Why do we determine that it's wrong? They say, just sit with that. Why is it wrong to ask for outward validation when you need it? Because sometimes there's things we just can't see. And if we aren't willing to ask, is it really that we aren't willing to ask for help? Is it really that in some way we're so stuck in caretaker mode that we're so busy taking care of other people without allowing space to take care of ourselves too? And they say that, right? I was always like the master caretaker, so I get this for all those of you that it resonates with. They say, but really think about that. Because when we're so set in being in that caretaker mode for other people, so often, if you were me, it's like the way we treat ourselves is, nope, no time for you. Nope, no time for you. You don't get to ask. And they say, but it's in that space that it totally takes away what it is that we need. And when we're willing to give to ourselves what we need, and we go to the person that can give us what we need, we start accepting and expecting what we need from other people in our lives. But it all starts with the willingness to give it to me first. Because if I won't give it to me, I will never accept or expect it from somebody else. And we don't realize that that's a place so many of us get stuck. The guides say, I am willing they say it like this, okay, I put it again. What I accept and expect for myself, I will accept and expect from others. And they say, remember, we're talking about the paradox, so they say that goes for the good and the not so good. Just bear it in mind in both ways. They say, because remember, when I was in that old space of accepting and expecting that, I'm not going to give me what I need, I got a lot of that. They say, but when I move into this space of accepting and expecting what I need, I get a lot of that too. But it's where I allow it for me. What I'm willing to give to me is what I'm willing to accept and expect from other people.